Is that okay? That clicked. Oh, that clicked. And is the other one gonna? No, it just re-engaged. Well, hello, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm replacing the HVAC hoses on my Expedition, and I'm starting to realize it's gonna be a real pain in the ass to do. So in a previous video, I had mentioned how my Expedition is losing coolant. I don't have coolant on the driveway. I don't have a puddle. I don't have it in the oil. Don't have it in the crankcase. Not blow by, anything like that. Don't have it going out the exhaust, so the head gaskets, all that stuff is okay. But I'm still losing coolant. Well, as I've owned it, it's gotten worse. I found this right here. I don't know if you guys see on the camera, but at the end of my hand is where coolant's leaked on this engine cover, and it's probably deformed it a little bit because coolant is hot and this is foam. So I've narrowed it down that I have these two HVAC hoses right here to replace. And you can probably see right here at the end of my finger the coolant residue all over this Y pipe. So I got two new pipes, or these two new hoses, and I want to see how hard it is to replace them. And so far, from what I've seen right here, it's going to be a pain in the ass to do. So where you're sitting at is right here. Where these connect to the firewall is way back down here where my hand is at. There is really no way for me to get you down in here at the moment. The only good way to look at these hoses is where I'm standing. And if I'm standing here, well, then you're in my way. At least on this part of the project. And I've also noticed, I think they have different connections. Maybe that Ford updated the part number. So we shall see if I can get this hose off. But I also think I need to take this engine cover off right here as well. But let me get this hose off first to see if I need to go that far. So the design that came on the new hose is quick disconnects. As you can see, like right here's this little tab. Push this tab and it clicks. But on the old style, it has a different style quick disconnect. And on this style that originally was on this Expedition, you're supposed to take and push the hose towards the fitting, and then there's a little plastic collar that you have to disengage the teeth on, and then the hose pops off. The issue here is there is no space in this area where my hand is at. You've got the two wiring harnesses for the ECU, and you've got other wiring harnesses right here. And I've contemplated disconnecting these wiring harnesses to make more room to get down in here. Because I also just thought, once I get this hose off the firewall, how am I fishing it out of there? I'm probably going to do the top hose first, which is right where my hand is at. I'm doing the top one right here where my pinky's at. Now, it's very tight back in here, and there's also, you can't see it, but there's an AC coolant line right here that goes right above the top of this fitting. So you don't have a lot of vertical room with your hands in there to disengage this. So you probably need two hands, or I just re-engaged it. I thought I had it disengaged. I think the top one got disengaged. So I'm pushing the hose towards the firewall. And the trick is to not engage the clip that you disengaged, which is what I just did. So I'm gonna start at the top. So push in, push down the plastic clip, and then you have to rinse and repeat. I got it. I did it. I did it. Now, before I go removing this hose, you want to be aware of A, make sure you're doing this on a cold vehicle where the system is not under pressure. And B, you want to have some underneath, because as soon as you remove this hose, if you're not too low on coolant, you might have coolant dripping out. And you don't really want to mess in your driveway. So I got the top one disconnected, and well, it's leaking coolant. So you also want to have some towels on hand somewhere so that you don't have a giant catastrophe of a mess. Probably would not recommend doing this when it's windy out like I am right now, but I'm a DIY person. So this hose is removed, and I'm leaking coolant out of it. But that's okay, because this hose is bad anyway. So there's one hose down. I don't want this to be dripping coolant everywhere. Oh, okay. So this hose is gone, and it leaked out of the firewall. It's leaking out of the firewall. Okay, so you also want to make sure you have extra coolant on hand before you start this job. And you want to have something under there to catch the coolant so it doesn't just go everywhere. Did I make it in the... No, I did not make it on anything. It just missed the bucket. Now, there's a wide connection to this, so probably going to have to do this part right here where this hose is at as well. And that might be the same thing as pushing down. Yeah, so this is going to be a push down and push those retainer clips in. Oh, okay, I got it, I think I got it. Oh, I'm gonna need a bigger bucket. Now I've leaked coolant on the entire passenger side of this vehicle. So, one hose is disconnected, and I've leaked coolant everywhere. Okay, so those are done. And let's see if I can get you over here to show you what it is that I was doing. Well, how does that clip come undone? Because that is not the style on the new hose. So there's a plastic retaining clip. That's gonna be interesting. I don't really want to break that clip in case I have the wrong hose and I can't drive my Expedition until I get a new hose. That's not the end goal. But at least let me show you guys what I'm working with. Okay. So this is what makes this kind of a challenge. So right here, where my finger at, lower right part of your screen, is the hose that I removed, which is right here. And right above this hose is the fitting that goes to the firewall. There we go. So you see it moving? Now, I don't know if I get back in there because the only way to get to here is right where you're looking at. So I'm going to explain this the best I can. Above this fitting that's moving, you see the silver pipe, and then you will see a plastic liner on it. Let's see if I can enhance that section. So that plastic clip is what sits inside this hose. And to get this off, you're supposed to push this hose in, and then while simultaneously pushing down on that plastic clip, and then that releases the hose. The only issue now is that is not this quick disconnect that's right here on this hose. This has a new, looks like a new style, where you have this little ridge right here, and that ridge is what you use to engage and disengage the quick connect. So before I tear apart this further, I'm going to do a little bit of research and see if Ford updated the part numbers of these hoses from 2018 to here in 2024. At the end of this hose is the fitting that goes to the firewall. And as you can see, there's still a plastic piece on that fitting. You're supposed to break that fitting off to put the new hose with the new style fittings on. That's what they're telling me to do. Which would make sense given if this hose is bad anyway, you can't reuse it. Probably can't reuse the fittings either, so yeah, you'd have to break that off. The question is what do you get back in there to break that off? That's the question. What if I get a little screwdriver and I can get under the ring and break this plastic? I can't even see back in there because there's really no room to get back in there. I'm not sure how you would even get this off because it's on that nipple pretty good. Well, this looks to be a royal pain to deal with. And there's not one to deal with. Oh, the bottom one doesn't have that. Nope, the bottom one has it too. So essentially, the old style, you're breaking all these clips off to put the new hose on. Okay. And looking online, there's only one part number. So at some point, Ford must have superseded it and didn't tell anybody. I'm still processing how I'm going to break the retaining clip off of the nipple so I can put the new hose on. I mean, it's just plastic. but I don't know if there's a way to get in there with any kind of leverage to get under anything to break this off without like damaging what you need to be doing. There's too many wires in my way. What if I just squeeze the tops of this towards the pipe? Nope. How does that come off? I can't get under the little ring that's rotating on. I'm tempted to remove these wiring and push that down out of my way, because that's just the ECU. Well, that didn't really move very much out of my way, did it? But there's a Christmas tree right here. Let's see if I can pry tool that out of there. Just gonna get under there to see where this Christmas tree is going to be sitting at. Let's see if I can't. Wow, this is a royal pain in the ass, I can tell you that. There we go. Okay, I'm under this Christmas tree, but this is probably why people don't like working on their own car. It's a Christmas tree, for crying out loud. Come on. What if I just cut the Christmas tree zip tie and re-zip tie without the Christmas tree as a repair later on? Oh, there we go. Okay. So yeah, it's just a Christmas tree. So I'll probably just re-zip tie that later. Now that that's out of my damn way. There's too many wiring harnesses here for this to be remotely feasible. Okay, so that's got a whole thing there, and I'm not sure. So as you move these around, be very careful. But right here's where we're working. Oh, that cleared up some room right there. Let's actually just try a pocket knife. Because it is plastic, after all. I still don't know how it's going to come out. But I'm definitely aware of my patience is shot with it. Well, we're going to have to see if I can remove this wiring right here. Well, that's another Christmas tree. Why, Ford? You've got to be kidding me. Oh, maybe I got it. Oh my God. So this is the plastic retaining clip that I was just fighting off. Just zoomed in here. So this sits inside here, like so. And the object is, with this in here, you take this black fitting and push it against the fitting that's connected to, like this. And then you push these ears down, and then the fitting separates. To remove this off the hose, I just took these and bent them back like that, is what I did. That was mildly infuriating, and now I gotta do it again for the bottom hose that's sitting down here. You wretched son of a... Okay. So you see how it's bent backwards? That's what it's supposed to be. I just bend these ears out like this and pulled it off the pipe. So right here is the hose now. It looks like I had to remove this foam cover to... Why does this not pop up? It's bolted to the engine? What the fuck, Ford? What is that? Is that a 10? It might be a 10. 10. This was definitely a stupid idea. Why? Well, at least it's hand tight. But why? Why bolt this to the engine? What purpose does it serve? And the bolt even has a plastic locking ring on it. Well, that would be mildly infuriating. Because if that ring lets go, then you ain't getting that nut off. Why? What engineer said, yes, this is a great idea? Okay. Now, don't lose your nuts. Okay, we set that to the side. Whoa. I've never really seen underneath that cover until just now. It's dirty as all get out, that's for sure. So I need to figure out my next move here and see which hose is which. And yeah, this is, well, at least spark plugs look easy to do. Focus. This is going to be a pain in the ass to do then. So there's a bracket here where my hand is at. Right down here below this air intake for the turbo. Please tell me I don't have to remove the turbo line, the air infeed, and the air infeed going to the intercooler. Please tell me that's a no. Please? Please? Automotive gods, is that a no? Well, kind of. It kind of is a no. But how hard is it going to be to get down in there and get that screw off for that inlet hose? I can't even see the damn screw that's down there. Oh, that's going to be a pain in the ass to do. Okay. So it looks like these hoses right here, they are zip tied together. There's black zip ties right here. We got our insulation, and it goes under the air intake for the intercooler and then comes out right here where my hand is at, which you're probably not going to see, maybe off frame. And it goes right here where the finger's at, and then there's a T connection right here on the upper radiator hose. So I'm assessing my plan of attack here before I once again smack my head on this hood one more time. Are these zip tied? There's a bracket right here, but what does this bracket go to? It appears this bracket is, well, this is going to be a pain in the ass, let me tell you. So I'm thinking these hoses, yep, they're zip tied under this bracket, which where my hand is at, there's a plastic bracket that both these two tubes are sitting on. And then under that bracket is the two zip ties for these two heater hoses. Why, Ford? Why? Okay, let's see. So a plan of attack then is I can remove the air intake tube right here, because that should be pretty easy to get to from underneath without actually having to move the vehicle or get underneath to do anything else. This air intake tube, on the other hand, well, that is buried down in there. And I'm not seeing an easy way to get to that other than through the front tire. And the hose is already disconnected, so we're not starting this vehicle up at all. Which, by the way, make sure you hide your remote start key fob. The last thing you want to do is bump that and remote start this damn thing. If I remove this tube, though, this intake, the intercooler intake tube, will that give me the room that I'm looking for? Maybe not. Maybe it will not give me the room that I'm looking for. There's 2 nuts right down here. And that whole bracket then lifts up. But, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go, can I get to that right there? I can get to this screwed right here. And we have to go underneath and remove that tube intake as well. Or at least loosen it, because that should be a flexible fitting. I won't have to probably unscrew the lower one. I could probably just unscrew this one and take this tube up and push it this way a little bit. Let's try that. Although I need a flathead screwdriver here. And here we are being a contortionist, getting back in here to loosen this up. I wonder if I have a wrench that will make that much, much, much easier. What is that, a 7, an 8? Let's try an 8. No, so it's probably 6. Is it a 6? No, 6 is too small. I've never heard anybody say 6 is too small. Probably. Well, it's probably not metric, it's probably standard. Well, there is really no way to get to this. Do I have a stubby flathead or stubby slotted screwdriver? Well, it wasn't a 5/16 and it wasn't a quarter either. So a stubby screwdriver slotted to loosen this up. No, that's not going to work either. Why is that not working? Okay. This is becoming really of a challenge. Ouch! My arm doesn't go down in there far enough. This is also kind of sketchy too, because you don't want to leave stuff right. Taking this tube off, then you definitely don't want to. Oh, that's not going to come off that pipe. There ain't no way that comes out. Okay. Because that's pretty much on there. Yeah, that's pretty much on there. That's not coming off. And this is a band style clamp. So you really don't want to damage that, or you're going to be up even more of a shit creek. And you know that rubber hoses, if you have experience with working on cars, they tend to like get planted on whatever they're connected to, and they don't really move. And if I don't want to pry too hard on this because it's connected to the turbo. And if you go in here and start yanking around, you might do more damage than what you want to do. Let's see if I can get a little screwdriver, or not. Itty bitty screwdriver. See if I can't pry this hose off from the plastic tubing itself. We're gonna want something like this. See if I can't. Well, damn. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. So, I got a little screwdriver in here to try and pry this pipe away while being careful that I don't put debris down in there. Wow, this is a... Oh, look at that. I got a cut. Huh. Says every mechanic that's ever worked on a damn car. Ouch! There's another one somewhere. What the hell did I just cut myself on? Okay. Well, fudge. I can't... This pipe is really... Ouch! Son of a bitch. Cut myself twice on something down in there. What the fuck? Well, that's rather intriguing. How am I going to get that out of there now? Okay, well, it's down there right now. Oh, boy. Well, at least it wasn't my 10 mil. Ooh, I got movement. But what kind of movement? Oh, I really don't want to be prying. Fucking thing is going to piss me off. Well, I got movement. I don't have anything to pry on to pull up. What is this a bolt right here? Doesn't say it's a bolt. Doesn't feel like a bolt there. There's got to be an easier way. Okay. I got that. Then I've cut myself 500,000 times. There's got to be. That's... What the well, let's see. Those are probably an 8. Right? Because it's attached right here where my thumb is at. And I can't get it out of that bushing. But I don't feel a nut on the other side of that. It just feels like it just sits there. And I thought there'd be play with the other bushing. The last thing I want to do is lose my patience. I think I'm already there. I've repositioned you to try to show you what the deal is at the moment. So on your screen, right here is the intake tube for the intercooler, and right here is the intake tube for the turbo. Right here, my finger at is there's 2 8mm bolts that are connected to this plastic bracket, and right here are the heater hoses that go under that bracket, and then they connect over here to the auxiliary pump and to the upper radiator hose. So to get to these hoses then, these heater hoses, I got to remove this bracket because they're underneath this bracket. Because, you know, Ford has awesome engineering. The thing is I don't really see how this hose comes apart. It's supposed to sit in this bracket on the other side over here where my hand is at, but I don't see it coming out. This is very tight down in here to get a socket, let alone get a wrench. These nuts are 8mm. So here's where the wrench is at. And you don't have a lot of play to get this wrench to do what you need to do. But you can see kind of where I'm at. There's no room for a socket down here either. So you're just using a wrench to loosen your nuts. This is not a nut that I want to be losing inside this engine bay. I already had to go fish out my light. Okay, so that's removed. Now, after that, I don't have an answer. Here's the bracket that I just loosened. And right down here at the end of my finger are the zip ties for these hoses. Now, mind you, this is just to remove the hose. I don't really want to remove this air intake right here because there's a wiring harness right here where my hand's at. Wow, there's a lot of blowout from the light that's beside me. How about that? So, more Christmas tree stuff. Let's see if I can gingerly not lose my mind. Ha! Good luck on that part. Let's see if I can remove these Christmas trees right here below your frame where you're going to be at. If I can remove these, well, that was easy. And remove this one. Why? Okay, so this wiring harness right here, that's what I just removed off of this tube right here. So now the idea is I can loosen the banjo clamp that's back here and take this tube and tilt it this way. I'm curious to know what is the estimated book time to do one of these at a shop. Okay, so this moves. We got some play there. We got play here, play there, play everywhere but where I need it. And that is to be underneath this bracket because these hoses are zip tied. Who thought this through? Who? Who said, yes, this is how we're going to do it? Or is it because this is how we're going to do it cheaply and fuck the mechanic that's going to work on it later on down the line? We don't care about how they're going to do it. What matters is how we're going to assemble it on the production line. Fuck repairing it. We'll just do engineering obsolescence, right? Oh, I don't want to break that. That's the auxiliary pump. Oh, that's on a foam block. Okay. Okay, I'm going to lose my patience. It won't be the first time, and it's probably not going to be the last time. I'm going to go underneath real quick and see if I can't loosen the lower connecting hose for this intercooler inlet. Underneath, I loosened the air intake, the inner charge pipe right here where my hand's at. It's going to be the top banjo. If I can pull that out, because that's pretty loose. This pipe itself has been pretty loose. And if I hit my head on this hood one more goddamn time, I'm going to have an expedition without a hood. And that's how it's going to be driven around. Okay. So do you see how all of this is connected to this bracket where my finger's at? Why, Ford? Why? So there's Christmas trees right here. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see them. If I could push that Christmas tree through, I might be able to then get these hoses off of this bracket. And that might be what we do. That probably is not the shop procedure to do it that way. Probably not by a long shot. Is that how you're supposed to do it? But that's how I'm gonna do it. And then I'm gonna have to zip tie that back together. Actually, I think that's what you're supposed to do because the new pipe, the new hoses came with new Christmas tree zip ties. Okay, well, knowing that, well, I'd have to move all this shit out of the way anyway to get down here to get to this. That's what I would have to do. Where's my pry tool? Let's see if I can't get a pry tool here. And if I can't get underneath here and pry these Christmas trees out of this. Fuck, talk about working upside down. Or, well, there's one. Haha! I am making some success. Okay, well, that was short-lived. Oh, there we go. Well, that was pretty straightforward. So it does look like you're going to have to remove these tubes at least a little bit to have some wiggle room right here to get these hoses undone. Now, I think I'm going to focus back over here and get this other hose, the bottom one, disconnected. So the top one's disconnected. Got to do the bottom one now. So now that I'm back here where my hand's at, right here, where this silver pipe is. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get you back in there, but now that I have more room right here, this hose should be easy to do. So we gotta push in, and yep, that's what you gotta do. Push it in. There's gonna be more coolant coming out of that hose. Take these clips. Bend it back, bend it back, bend it, ouch, bend it back. Okay, so there's one. One down. Where's the wide of this one go? Oh, well, this one's right here. Oh, I'm so glad I decided to do this in my driveway. I'm so glad I decided to film this for YouTube. Ouch! You son of a bitch. The hood strut's in my way right now. You've got to be kidding me. Ouch! The AC line right here is in my way. There has to be a better way to design this. And then the coolant is making my hand slippery. Ouch. And for reference, the tube that says LF is the tube that goes on the bottom. And that is also the tube that I'm trying to remove right now. Yeah, this is such a fun job. Oh, and then there's play on these rear HVAC lines. I don't need to be losing you again. Can't push down hard on these because you push the whole lines down and then you're liable to bend them or something else. Probably put a crack in them. So you don't want to push too hard down, so you're going to need to be able to lose your bind. How many times have I said that already? And there's an AC line right here where my hand's at, and there's an AC line over here where my hand's tapping at. Do you think the automotive gods would be okay if I got the Sawzall out and just cut the bitch out? Okay, I know. A little over dramatic, don't you think? Well, I can't really. Ouch, son of a. There's no support on the rear HVAC connections that's right here to give you stability. So when you push down on this hose, the whole unit pushes itself down. So you're not really able to push down on the hose. Yeah, because right here is the whole unit, and you're pushing down on that. So you got to push down. Ouch. There is really no room here for anything. Oh, let's see if I can't remove the wiring harnesses again. Well, except for that one, because that one doesn't go anywhere. But this one is on another Christmas tree. Let's see if I can get this out of my way. Why is there so many stupid clips right here, Ford? Come on, Ford. Okay. So that's, and then this is part of that. Okay. So that can just stay over there and it's not bothering me right here. And then this, well, there's a ground. There's a body ground right there. Interesting. Anyway, I can't really push. Oh, now with that wiring harness on my way. Ah, there we go. I can push down. I can't push it up though. Okay, it's connected. Okay, there's engaged. Oh my God. Well, this is, and this AC line right here is cutting my fingers. I can't see. This is so much fun. Well, that was disengaged. But this top one is not. There we go. Okay, so you gotta watch how you have these hoses right here. So we move this part first, and then you try to remove the one with my hand right here. You gotta watch how these hoses are, so you don't put extra tension on this fitting to get it out. That was my frustration there. Now, got to fish these fuckers out. You've got to be kidding me. What am I connected to now? Another Christmas tree? Fucking Ford! Here at the end of my finger there's a Christmas tree right on the other side of this connector. So I'm gonna pop out this Christmas tree like so. With the Christmas tree popped out, we can then fish this monstrosity out. So all that's left now is a pair of pliers right here where my hand's at to remove this hose clamp, and then right here where my fingers are at, there's a T connection right here with another quick disconnect style. And then this monstrosity gets fished out of here. Okay, so now we have this pipe fitting right here where my hand's at, and then there's a T connection with one of these style connections right here where my hand is tapping on this T connection. If a pair of channel locks is going to be able to do this job. What do you think? I'm going to think, I don't know. Oh, I'm also going to probably have to save this hose clamp too, because the new hose didn't come with one. Try from right here. There we go. There we go. And probably gonna want something underneath before I pull that hose. Break the seal on the hose a little bit there. Oh, there's a lot of coolant coming out. Now, the last part is right here where my hand is at. There's a T connection. This is the upper radiator hose too. So like the rest of these connections right here, which you're not gonna be able to see because, well, you're not in frame. like this connection right here. We're gonna have to push up towards the T connection to disengage it. But the way this is sitting on there, this does not look like that's gonna be that easy. So I wonder if I remove this and fold it back this way, I have better access to that hose. Let's see what I can do first. There's not really much room on this side for this, because the way this connection is sitting, it is right in the valley of this T, so there's not a lot of room around this fitting to push it up. Oh Lord. Okay. I'm gonna pull this upper radiator hose and dump more coolant out of this engine, out of the system anyway, and try and flex it back that way. Oh, making progress. Now that I've drained a lot of coolant out of my car, like all of it, okay, and the whole point of doing that is to tilt this up so I have easier access to this connector right here. Was the whole point, the entire point of that. Because as you can see, right here, there's no way to really get where I need to go. So I'm gonna rotate this fitting and then push up. Son of a bitch. Okay, I think I got it. I thought I did. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is push this fitting up while simultaneously pushing this white part towards the fitting here so I can pull this whole black piece down. That was the whole point of removing the upper radiator hose right here so I can have better access to this and rotate this about 90 degrees so that this part where my finger's at is in between these two right here rather than it being right here where I can't get to it. But I might get a Dremel out and I might end up cutting that off because there is no way my patience is going to survive fighting this shitty. See, what if I get side cutters and cut right here? Break it right there. I don't want to break this because that's a whole new hose and I don't have that with me. Or I didn't order a new hose because I really didn't think this was going to be a complicated procedure. Clearly, I was fucking wrong. If I can get in here with some side cutters and cut pieces of this plastic off, that's what we're going to do. Well, there's that one. Okay. Now, gingerly, I don't want to break the nipple. I don't care about the fitting. That's why I have a new hose. But I gotta rinse and repeat the same on this side. I gotta break this black bar right here. Perfect. Why is it still? Oh my God, why is it so fucking hard? And you're gonna go bye-bye. You piece of fucking shit. Okay. This doesn't even... You've got to be kidding me. This doesn't even want to come off. Come on. This is a joke, right? Really? This is a joke, right? Is it? Really? This is a fucking joke. Really? Jesus. That's the next step, is to fish this monstrosity contraption out of here so that I can put the new one in. Well, thankfully I've got coolant because I think I just drained out my whole reservoir. Wasn't much in there, but come on. God damn it. Now that I've dumped coolant everywhere, we're out. But I do got to save this clamp. Here's the two new hoses. And then here's the monstrosity that I just removed. And here you get a better look at the new style connector and then the old style. So the new style has a little thumb release right where my finger's at, right here. And the old style had this. You have to push this up and then push these down. So the question that I'm thinking about right now is, I'm tired of dealing with these hoses, is do I put them back in one by one, or do I zip tie them together this way and put it back in as one unit? That's the question. Because this way, if I put it back in the way they came out, they're going to sit just kind of like this. LF went on the bottom, so that hose goes on the bottom. And then just kind of big zip tie these together. Yeah, pretty much, because that's how they have it going. So then this is the elbow. Then right here is the two Christmas tree, which the new hose came with new Christmas trees. And is there a zip tie here? And there's a big zip tie that I have right here. So that's kind of the question, is how do I want to do this? Because something tells me I'm going to be doing this again X amount of miles. Because, well, oh, and I got to take this clamp off, so I might as well do that while I'm thinking about it. So this gets reused and it gets put back on this guy right here, and that goes to the auxiliary pump. This has those Christmas tree zip ties, so now I'm wondering if I want to put the zip ties on the bracket itself first, that way, or actually zip tie the hoses together, and then that way if these are zip tied together, I can just use it as the one unit and then push it up in there. I don't have to be underneath, upside down, trying to put this in the hole. So I think I'm going to zip tie these together first and then put them in the truck. So we've got, to find our mines, we have LF here. We've got, oh Lordy Jesus, these things are a pain to deal with here. So we've got LF here, and then we've got this hose that sits right here. So we're going to go pretty much like this. There's a zip tie about right there. So let's put a zip tie there. We're going to zip tie this right here so that at least holds them together. Well, this is a royal pain to deal with. And then it looks like, so that's what it looks like then. They just kind of like mirror where they're going. There's two zip ties right here with the Christmas tree. But I'm going to use the Christmas tree and zip tie both of them together. And, oh, well, clearly I can't do that. Now that I have some zip ties, let's mirror this to the best of our ability here. So we got our Christmas tree right here. I don't think it's particularly going to matter kind of where they line up. I don't think it's really going to matter. You can probably push it in there. Well, it might slightly matter because that bracket is kind of fixed where it's at. So well, I'm going to put this side by side and push these. So I'm going to put it like this. And that's where I'm going to put the Christmas tree. And that's where I'm going to put the second one. And then use a zip tie or some zip ties, and then zip tie these together. Oh, okay. There. Some side cutters then to cut these off. Alrighty. Zip tie there. Cut that guy off. And then I have this big zip tie. Oh, so this is big guy goes right here with these two, but they have it on the T and on the hose right here. I don't know if that's where I would put that. I think I'm just gonna put them right here on the hose itself, or at least on the T itself. That's how I think I'm gonna do it. And they put this in the middle. What the hell? How do they do this? So they have this right here. How do they do that? Oh, is there two? So it went around one hose and then goes around the other hose. What the heck? Went around. Okay. That's kind of cool. So this is in the middle. It's going to go around the one hose. Listen. I don't know if I'd even put this on, but that's how they did it at the factory. So this is going to go on around one hose and then circle back around the other hose and go in like that. At least that's how this one is set up. And then it's going to come out this way anyway. Well, okay. So I'm like right below the fitting of this coupler right here. Well, this is, and then this comes around this way on the fitting and goes back in. So that's how it goes. Goes around this hose this way, then back around the other hose. And that's how they get zip tied together. Okay, so I'll leave some room for play in there, because once you do this, there's pretty much no going back. And then cut that off. Well, I think these are dope. Okay, and then there's that Christmas tree that was on the fuel pump right here. So we gotta make sure that's in the right orientation. And then we'll have to, looks like I'm putting this back together as one catastrophe of a unit. That's what it looks like it's going to be doing. So I'm going to hook kind of like right there so that I can get to it easier when it's in the truck. All right, time to go to the truck and put this new monstrosity in, shall we? Since I don't have to pull anything off this T, I'm going to put this upper radiator hose back on. That goes right here where my finger's at. That was a pain in the ass to get it off. And it's probably going to be the same way to putting it back on. Well, that went back on a hell of a lot better than it came off. Okay, so that part's done. Have our new hose monstrosity, and feeding this in is gonna be, this is gonna be a bitch. We might just have to fish this in, just like so. Is what we might be doing. Ouch, that was my head. Fish this bitch in, and then ever so gingerly come on, come on. I don't know what it's caught on, but it's in there now. Okay, that part was easy-ish. So we're right here right now. I gotta feed in out of frame right here the upper radiator hose connection and the other pump connection. And then we got to find our Christmas trees and put our Christmas trees, or get them connected, which in of itself is becoming a royal pain in the ass to do. Okay, so there's a Christmas tree here and right here. We have to bring this up to this bracket. This is probably a good idea of why these put this together outside the vehicle. It's starting to be a better idea, because I'd hate to be trying to bend over like this and put this Christmas tree in this stupid bracket. Oh man, doing this at the dealer. I mean, I'm DIY. I've already spent 6 hours doing this job. Well, that's 6 hours total. It's probably at least 3 hours of planning and fidgeting with stuff like this stupid bracket that I need to get in here. So I got one Christmas tree connected, and I gotta work on this other one right here. The only metal in this engine bay that I can put my light on is the AC lines, obviously. Shoot. Okay, well this is becoming rather annoying. There we go. Okay. Just use the strut tower to support that light real quick. Oh man, this is becoming a royal thing to deal with. Where's the Christmas tree? Okay, so right here's the Christmas tree. Give it the old reach around under here. Put our Christmas trees back on. Gingerly put our bracket back on. And before I do all that, so I'm gonna go right here and put this back onto the auxiliary pump. That's what we're gonna do now. That's what I'm gonna do right now. Okay. Oh, no, don't you dare come off. Move that out of my way a little bit. Push the hose on. And then get another reach around here between the AC lines. And put that back on like so. And then in the same motion right here, I'm going to take this connector that's moving right here at the bottom of the coolant reservoir, and we're going to snap this in place. Oh wait, this is a different style, right? So how is this going to work? I don't really see how this comes up. Ouch! This fan right here is in my way. But this hose isn't on there. Okay, so we just gotta give it some force. Nope, not done yet. Okay, oh, so it just clicks in and you hear a snap. Okay, so that part's done. This over here is done. Now I'm gonna set this bracket back on these two studs. There's one. There's two. And oh, that's not me wrapping around shit you don't need to be going around. I gotta put my turbocharge back on. Oh, and this Christmas tree right here goes back into the fuel pump right there. Okay, that part's done. Now I just got to finger the hole here for the charge pipe, push it back down, and bring the thing back up and tighten that down before I forget. Wow, this is a real pain. There we go. So put that back on, make sure that's nice and snug, and I'll have to go down below and tighten that one up too before I forget. And then I gotta put this tube going back on right here. Okay, so this tube is back on. Now, find our nuts, and we gotta tighten down our bracket right here. These guys. You gotta reach over the tube and spin your nuts on. A part of me would just say, leave these off. You little bastard. Where's it at? If I drop this nut in this engine bay, I am not chasing after it. Oh. Got lucky, it landed on the strut tower. I'm being restricted by the AC line and by the turbo tube. Okay. We have a wrench. And then we just got to make sure we have light. Where my wrench is at right here. Zap them down. So the front one you can use a wrench, but the back one you can actually use a small socket. A ratcheting wrench I would recommend. The back one you can actually use a socket. This is an 8mm, so I'm just gonna put this socket on here. Oh, come on. Thought I have it this way. Nope. No socket. No extension, unless you have like maybe a universal you can get down in here. But I'm just using the socket itself to put it on, or to at least get it threaded, and then I'm going to use the ratchet here. Oh, this is going to be a long pain in the ass. And then snug up the front one too. Oh, wrong way. I'm not sure if that's tight all the way, but it's probably going to be as good as it's going to get. Thankfully, it's my vehicle. And this might be one of those little details that I don't really care about. I don't know how much more threads there are. This one still has a gap I can see. So we need to... Okay, well, I think that's as good as that's going to get. They're not going anywhere. It's bolted on there. Probably got to see if I can push this hose right here further forward. I'm not really liking how it's sitting there at the moment. Well, that's just fucking fun. Let me go chase back my set of channel locks here. So down below then, the passenger air intake for the intercooler right here is the top tube right here. You want to loosen this one up slightly so you can rotate this tube and have some play in it. Don't forget to come back down here and tighten this one back up and make sure this tube is all the way inside this boot. Now the only thing left to do here is connect the hoses back to where they went. They pretty much only go on, well, one way. Did I leave this one on? Yes, I did. So now I gotta take this little guy off right here. So make sure your clips are all the way removed. Now then, these hoses are kind of like a pain in the ass to deal with. So these two hoses have to be in the middle of this hose, and this hose has to be on the other side of this wiring harness. So this one where my thumb's at, this LF goes on the bottom fitting, not the top one, the bottom one. So make sure LF goes on the bottom and push it on, and it should click. And that means that this fitting right here goes on right here where my index finger's at. So then it just pushes on, and it should kind of like click. At least I'm hoping it will. Ouch! Cut myself again. And then this fitting, kind of like, oh, there we go. And if you're replacing both of them, the one with the blue right here, this blue one goes with the blue fitting, goes in the top fitting for the firewall. Make sure it's on there all the way. It doesn't come back out. And then the down hoses just snap into place too. There we go. So the blue fitting hose, where my index finger is, this Y is the blue fitting hose, and the Y left goes to the first hose for the rear HVAC. And the LF hose, right here on my index finger is, its Y hose goes on the other down part that's closer to the firewall, if that made sense. Click, click. So let's try and explain this in a better way. So the right here on my index finger is the HVAC with the blue quick disconnect. That goes in the top firewall nipple of the vehicle. And its Y portion, its Y part, goes on the very first fitting right here of the HVAC lines that go to the rear. The hose that says LF goes on the bottom, and its Y portion of the hose, of its hose, goes behind that hose on the top fitting for the rear HVAC. Now I'm just going to put all this wiring back in the way that I needed to put back in the way. So we're gonna put this Christmas tree back here, put this back in, lock it down. That one's locked down. Put this one back in, lock it down, make sure that's locked down, make sure there's nothing else missing, nothing else is disconnected. So right down here at the end of my finger is the screw for this tube. Make sure you put that back on and make sure you screwed it down, because that's your air inlet. Now I gotta put this stupid cover back on and refill it with all the coolant, because I drained all the coolant out of it. So now I put this foam cover back on. Easily-ish. Why? I don't know why it's got to be bolted on. Ouch! This is one of those, if I drop this nut in the engine bay, I'm not chasing after it. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, before I forget, one other thing I saw I got to do. So if you remove this tube with this band clamp right here to make this come this way so we can get to that bracket that was down there, you had to disconnect the Christmas tree wiring harness, which is this guy. So make sure you put that back in place too. Don't forget that. There we go. Now we clean up our job site the best that we can, and then we go kill a 6-pack of liquor, because this job was annoying. Oh, I still got to fill this up. Okay. Coolant to refill. Also keep in mind, or majorly keep in mind, you're going to refill this up to the max, take it for a spin around the block or a decent drive, come back and add more coolant to it, because you're gonna have air in the system and it's got to purge itself all the way out. So you're gonna be filling this at least one other time after you do this initial refill. There is Motorcraft prediluted and Motorcraft concentrate. The prediluted, you don't have to add water, distilled water. The concentrate, you're going to have to add distilled water. The part number for this will be in the description. Let's not set that over there. Let's just set it right there. And then we're just gonna pretty much refill this, pour this whole gallon in here and refill this all the way up. There we go. Good to the last drop. What is my... I'm not even at the fill level. Am I? Nope. Which means we're going to need the other one. Slit here. Oh, well, we're going to do... That's not how I wanted to do it, but that'll work. I did the slits in the wrong spot. That's what I did. I wanted to pour sideways, not vertical, but apparently I didn't think about that. So, what am I at? Am I near? Don't you dare fall. I'm barely at the minimum right now. Man. I'm probably not even near max. I'm almost at max. But since I'm going to have an air leak in this, or air pockets in here, I'm gonna fill this above max. Am I above max? Yeah, I'm a little bit above max. We're gonna keep going. Turn over and get the air pockets out. Max is the seam of the tank, and I am right here at the end of my index finger. It's day 2 now. I took it out last night on a 70-mile road trip. Some highway driving, some city driving. Different variable engine speeds to have the pump spin up and spin down. I also had the HVAC on, as well as the rear, to try and get as much air out of the system as I could. Came back home, parked it, and here we are. So my system is cold, but if you're gonna add more coolant the same day, make sure you let your coolant system cool off before you pop open this cap. So right now, when I filled this up, I was right here where my nail's at. And right now, where are we at here? We're right here where my nail's at. So we're probably half an inch below the max fill line. So I'm gonna top that off, and in doing so, I'm also gonna add a little bit more than max, so that as I drive this throughout the rest of this week, I can, if there's more air in the system, it'll purge out, and I won't have to worry about really refilling this. I think that should put me at or above max. Close. Man, this has a huge ass reservoir. And a little shake. Okay, we're right at max. Am I right at max? No, I think max is the seam and I'm slightly above the seam. Okay, so that's good. And all I'm doing right now is just making sure that where I had the hose at, the hoses I removed, there's no coolant leaking out. All the connections are there. Looking back in here, looking for any signs of leakage. I don't see anything. Making sure I didn't forget anything else. I also, earlier I removed the wiring harness from the ECU right here, plugged them back in. It didn't give me any errors on the dash, no check engine light, nothing like that. Looking back, this project was rather challenging, maybe more frustrating than it was challenging. Frustrating in the confined space that you have to work with getting these hoses off. And the confined space between the firewall here and where these quick disconnects are and the AC line that's up over top of the top disconnect, it was a very frustrating experience to do all this. My hands are beat, they're bruised, they're all marked up from all the sharp objects in this area, particularly down here, the e-wastegate valve has a sharp edge to it, and I was down there working around with those hoses. That was mildly frustrating. There's a lot of sharp objects underneath here my hands were up against. It was frustrating. Now, I didn't pay for IDS, so I didn't have access to the shop manual. So my approach of doing this is probably different than what the shop manual is going to say to do. Like here, where I removed the upper radiator hose to get to this T connection, to get to a better access of that quick disconnect, probably didn't have to do that, especially at my point where I lost my patience and I just cut the damn connector off, or I cut the locking tabs of the connector. You could probably just do that and get away with not removing the top upper radiator hose like I had done. Just don't destroy that nipple if you do that. Another frustrating aspect of this DIY job was the difference in quick disconnect styles between what the vehicle was built with and the replacement hose. Shout out to Cleveland Ford Parts Department for about a 40-minute conversation as they walked me through and asked for pictures to make sure, yeah, you have the right hose. Ford did not make any revisions to this hose. That is the hose that the Expedition was built with per the build sheet. You have the right part number. And shout out to them as well for walking me on how to remove this plastic locking retainer off the nipples to put the new hose on. You have to, bend these back and it'll come off that way. So huge shout out to them. However, there is no mentioning any documentation online about any revisions to these hoses. There is no build date cutoff that you have this style before this date or after this date and then it changes to the other style. There is none of that. Looking at Tosca for these part numbers, in this picture for this hose, you will see that the picture shows the old style quick disconnect. And if you click the picture to the right of it, then you see the same hose has the new quick disconnect style. Way to go, Ford. Awesome. Way to go. I also would think that spending nearly $70 for a hose each, that Motorcraft could at least give you a new hose clamp as well. The amount of coolant that I lost doing this job, I'm going to estimate to be about a gallon, maybe slightly more. Pulling the hoses right here out of the firewall, a lot of coolant did drain out of the heater core and the dash, and pulling the hose right here that connects to the auxiliary pump, a lot of coolant came out of there as well. And then right here, the upper radiator hose, this is going to be full of coolant, and you go and you drop that disconnect off that T, you're going to drain that whole hose out as well. So be prepared for that. Then with that, I will have the yellow pre-diluted coolant part number linked in the description, as well as both of those heater hoses that I replaced will also be linked in the description. That was a project. For more expedition content, click this playlist. For more content posted this year, click this playlist. And to subscribe to this channel, click here.